The weekend's football is done. The international break has arrived and Manchester United have finished the weekend in the top half of the table. It is nice as a Manchester United fan to be talking about no drama at United. It's good to be talking about things that we can possibly use to move on at Manchester United. Manchester United's hunt for a new midfielder has taken shape again. More talk on that. And obviously, when you do get a positive result over the weekend, you get some stories coming out about things that could involve Rúben Amorim in the future. Nobody's getting carried away. Let's just make that clear. It's been a very good weekend for Manchester United. But now work continues and preparation for what is going to be the hardest group of games for Rúben Amorim coming forward. He's called out his players. He wants more reinforcements to come in. He's going to need more from his players right now, though, to get to that point. And this is it. This is that point now where it's either you get sacked or something happens and these players really feed into what you want from them. It's been a good weekend for United and that performance was the most solid we've seen under Rúben Amorim to date. Game 50, it's taken him to get an all-around sort of not excellent, not perfect, not absolutely blown away, but solid performance. 50 games it's taken him to get there for this team to realise that another manager is going to be heading out of that exit door unless they put themselves on the line. We went through it this morning. Rúben's called out his players. Put your bodies on the line. Need to die for that transitional period. Do everything you can. Kill yourself to get there. Fight for this team. They're going to have to do that and some. We're talking about the potential of Manchester United getting to that point and getting to the midfielders. Of course, on top of this as well, I want your live comments in the comment section, please, everybody, on everything that's gone down. If you missed the morning show and you have slept in because United got a win and you slept easy and maybe overslept on this Sunday while Storm Amy is going through the rest of the country, just about finishing off now, then get your comments in. This is your chance as well, everyone. It's kind of a sort of, let's just call it a chilled down live show today. The Sunday evening one is always either one of them shows where you can reflect on what has been a horrible weekend and you're worried about the week ahead, or a reflection on Manchester United actually getting somewhere and getting some form of result out of a weekend. And we got it this weekend. We're happy. We move forward. Senne Lammens, I've done a separate piece on him already. I think he's an absolute breath of fresh air. Benjamin Šeško also. If you haven't seen the Senne Lammens special, that is out on the channel. So go catch up with that after we finish here on the live show. Thank you, everyone, again, throughout the weekend for all of your support, numbers on the watch-along. It was a good weekend. Very good weekend. But what is next? Carlos Baleba hauled off at half-time today against Brighton. A mistake from Elliot Anderson for Nottingham Forest. What's happening with Ange Postecoglou there at Forest and all of that shenanigans going on again? And when you look at it, it's a long way to go to get to that transfer window with United definitely making moves and making noises in the background to try and bring in another midfielder. It is going to happen this January. Will Rúben still be in situ at Manchester United? That is the question. Just wanted to run over all of that, completely bring you up to date with all the news and everything that's going on around Manchester United at the moment. It's been an interesting weekend with the build-up to the game, and then when we finished yesterday, everyone really struggling to find anything to really go on and dig into as such when it comes to Manchester United's frailties. And this is what I said. This weekend has proved my point that when Manchester United win, the media have got nothing to write about. Nothing at all. In fact, when you get someone like Ben Jacobs coming out and laying out the stats for Senne Lammens' performance against Sunderland yesterday, that tells you everything. No Fabrizio Romano quotes from press conferences. Nothing about unrest at Manchester United and the fans not being happy or there being unrest behind the scenes. Where are all of these journalists today? They're nowhere to be seen because there's nothing to write about. They've saved themselves now because they need to see out 2 weeks worth with no Manchester United gossip or no Manchester United rumours flying around. Look, I'm not saying that there isn't going to be rumours about Rúben Amorim's future at Manchester United. Someone will report within this next 2 weeks of international football, Manchester United unrest and something going wrong at the football club. It is inevitable. But we all know that Rúben Amorim is going to be in charge at Anfield. come that first game back from the international break. I've watched Liverpool yesterday. I wasn't impressed with Liverpool yesterday. I'm looking at them and I'm going, there's a chance in that game for United like there was last season. I'm also looking at that game thinking there is going to be some form of, let's just say, comeback from Liverpool in that game also. But look, at the end of the day, Manchester United know what they've got to do. And now everybody's sat on the edge of their seat again waiting for the next instalment, the next episode of Rúben Amorim football. Is it going to be another collapse or is it going to be a first back-to-back win? I fully expect it to be a loss at Anfield. Will he keep his job? Yes, he will, because anyone can lose at Anfield. And Liverpool haven't lost there for God knows how long. They've won every single game there this season. What people are forgetting with the Liverpool game is that they've lost with the Liverpool team and their form as well, is that they have lost all of their games away from home. At Anfield, it's a different ball game, and they will be chomping at the bit to get at Manchester United in that game. If United come away from Anfield with anything creditable, like a draw, and then Rúben Amorim is looking at a good long stint for Manchester United up until at least December at that point. That's going to be the one. Can he get any points away from home at Anfield? That's how I feel anyway. But the overall vibe, when I've tested everything, I've looked into everything, I've looked at everyone's comments, everyone's thoughts on the game this weekend. I've done a little bit more research. I've done a little bit more reading into what's happening. I've looked in detail at what Rúben said now and what Benjamin Šeško said. And it does feel like we have got a little bit of shift in momentum within the camp. But the most important comment from the weekend, and I mentioned this earlier on today as well, the most important one from every post-match interview, whether it be a player, coach or any pundit at all, was Mason Mounts. We thought we'd done this and turned the corner when we beat Liverpool and we fell back again. It now has to be the next step to turning the corner. And it has to be Manchester United moving on from here. You cannot keep going forwards to go completely backwards at this football club. It will demoralise everybody if Manchester United fall back again into the old ways and just go back to losing badly and not even competing, which is still there within the DNA. Until you start performing regularly, then you are going to always have that devil on your shoulder, always digging his little fork into your neck and saying, this is who you really are. This is who you really are. This is the Manchester United collapse that's coming again. And you've got the hope on the other shoulder, which we've all been clinging on to, that we've seen against Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton, Forest, Spurs. These 4 games are Rúben Amorim's future at this football club. Because then after that, it's into the D-Day international break, the November international break. United could easily lose all 4 of them games. In fact, we picked up 1 point from them corresponding fixtures last season. And that was at Anfield, of all places. So even with a good result against Liverpool, Rúben could still, with this Man United side, go off the other side of the sword, because it is a double-edged this one, isn't it, going into these 4 games. In a weird way, and I don't know if there's anybody else thinking about this right now, in a weird way, I actually am quite excited that it's Anfield next and not some run-of-the-mill, I feel disrespectful saying this, crap game against a lesser team, because everybody can beat Man United at the moment. And you know what I mean by that, though, don't you? It's like we're going back into a big game and focus has to be fully switched on for this game. You know what storm is coming. There's no way United can switch off in this Liverpool game. It won't be allowed. And in a way, I think it just adds to the excitement, but it adds to the intensity of the game and where Manchester United need to be mindset-wise. So looking at that as well, thinking about it, you know what? I'd rather it be that than, for instance, the Brighton home game. I'd rather be playing Liverpool than playing at home to Brighton after the international break. That sounds ludicrous because it's a game that Rúben is going to lose and everyone's going to pile in again on. That's what everyone thinks. It's not when you think about it. It isn't. Because Manchester United right now are fully switched on, I think, for this game. And I think that this is the perfect game for United now to go into. So, yeah, looking at it, I think, here we go. It's knuckle down time. And let's see what these players can dig out of this game. I'm really looking forward to it. But the confidence that I've got in this team doesn't come from the shape, doesn't come from Rúben, doesn't come from the midfield or the defence. It comes from, like I said earlier on today, Šeško and Lammens. Them two, right now, give me hope. We have got a bypass the press option in Šeško from the goalkeeper to Šeško. I've seen Sully Talks today talking about Senne Lammens at Manchester United. Staff and players have been impressed with Senne Lammens' work ethic in training since he's joined. Has been doing extra fitness sessions and staying on grass after the team sessions to practice his distribution. First in, last out since he has arrived at Manchester United. Working. And his distribution was absolutely perfect in that game against Sunderland yesterday. It was. Did you notice he kicked with his left and his right foot? That, for me, is why I feel a little bit more confident about the Liverpool game. Let's get into some of these comments. Everybody, get your thoughts in. If you haven't had a chance to say anything today or speak to me, I'm going to open it up to everybody and just have a little bit of a conversation with you all at the end of the day. It feels like a weight has been lifted for a couple of weeks. And then this time, I think, let's just say in another 10 days' time, we're all going to be sat here looking ahead to that game against Liverpool, and then the pressure will start to come back again. But for now, we can sit back, we can relax, we can enjoy the week with no stress and no drama, and that's what it feels like right now. Graham in the Super Chat says, is there too much smoke behind blown up Ahmad's backside, or is it just me? No idea what you're on about, Graham, on that one. In terms of smoke, I'm not sure. Is that being sarcastic? Is that being critical? Let me know on that one, buddy. Are we overhyping Ahmad? I thought he played excellent yesterday. Or is that smoke just leaving people in his dust? Is that the comment? Sorry, mate. I don't know which way you were going with that one, pal. Cosimo says, to be fair, we have been a lot better at home this season, but away from home, we play like we're a relegation side. Doomsday away days, isn't it? The look on Mainoo's face when he was getting subbed in and Amorim was talking to him, it tells it all. Sell him. He doesn't want to be here because he doesn't start. Look, he's got to work his way back into the side. Mainoo's going to have to wait he's going to have to wait his turn. I just don't think Amorim wants him. He's not good enough in a midfield too. And that's the decision that's been made. I noticed Lammens kicked with both feet. It's in my video. Thanks for that, Graham. Yeah, it was brilliant because that just takes the pressure off the defence. Like I was saying this before in my video separately on Lammens, it's like you defender, you're running back, there's nowhere to go. You can just play it into Lammens and he'll confidently kick it with either foot, whichever side he's on. So the pressure is relieved instantly because of that also. When was the last time we played well for 90 minutes? Second half was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't as good as the first half. I know what you're saying. I'm not going to try and say that Man United dominated for 90 minutes. We didn't. But we managed the game with a minimal stress than I've ever seen before. It was comfortable enough. I agree. The second half wound me up a bit because we could have gone for more and we could have got more out of that Sunderland side. It was pretty poo. Ahmed gets too much praise for a decent performance. I don't think anyone's overpraised him, mate. I think Ahmed had a great game, but his link-up with Mbeumo is what makes it work for him. Miles better. That's Ahmed's best performance of the season yesterday anyway. But that's because he hasn't been great. He's been awful so far this season for me. Is what it is. We beat a promoted side. We always do. We'll be back to a meltdown after the international break and when we get slapped by Brighton. See, even Carl's skipping the Liverpool game now. I've noticed that, Carl. Don't think I didn't, mate. It's like, yeah, we have got that Brighton game coming up. Why is everyone talking about the Brighton game? It's just like, we've got Liverpool yet. United sitting in 10th right now is unacceptable, says Glock. Yeah, it is. It's always unacceptable. It is unacceptable for Manchester United. Rodders, you don't have to delete the message, mate. It's fine. Let everyone have a go at Manchester United. We are where we are right now. We have to accept the punishment that's coming our way. We have to accept that we are not where we should be. And we have to be real about the situation. We have to be honest with ourselves and say, this is not good enough. It needs to get 20 times better. Otherwise, we're going to lose another manager. That's it. Do I expect United to beat Liverpool? No. Do I expect Man United to beat Brighton? No. But Brighton today were horrible again. They were crap against Wolves, and it took a late equaliser for him to survive. Carlos Baleba in midfield right now is not looking like the player he was last season. I mean, lots of people have been talking about the Carlos Baleba situation today, about whether United should even go in for him after his performances and how he has been put off so much by the interest of Manchester United. His game has gone to complete pot. I can't remember him finishing 90 minutes yet this season, which is crazy. Should United be going for players like that? Is this all part of the plan, people are also saying out there right now? I don't know. At the end of the day, United right now, I think, need to be planning with and without Rúben Amorim with buying 2 midfielders. One in midfield in January and another one in the summer. It's as simple as that. That's what we need. Benjamin Šeško, I said yesterday for him to have him for these games coming up. And Manchester United, I think the stats were there. We went long quite a decent percentage more than we've ever gone long this season with Senne Lammens. I haven't got a problem with playing long football. We picked up so many second balls off Benjamin Šeško fighting with them centre-backs yesterday. We caused problems. And sometimes we play better when we win the ball back. So that's that transition, that's overturn ball that we get when we win the ball back high and then attack, like take out the flaws in our game, bypass that press from Liverpool or Brighton when it comes to that matter, because I think Benjamin Šeško will cause teams loads and loads of problems going forward. He is brilliant at holding the ball up, and again, like I mentioned this morning, his comments about wanting to get better and getting there and working harder, that's what we need to see. Look, I don't think Manchester United are playing brilliant football. We're doing it in spells. There is spells when we do play well in a game, but we cannot sustain a 90-minute period. And Rúben Amorim calling out his team after the game yesterday for needing more, wanting to kill themselves to get in the transitions and work back. I've seen that in the game that we've just covered there between Brentford and Manchester City. I've seen it with Nottingham Forest. Even though Ange Postecoglou's on the verge of getting sacked, his Nottingham Forest side were busting an absolute gut to get back in that game and back in shape. United can't do that with the midfield that we've got. We haven't got that. And that's where the problem is. Against a better side, yesterday might have been a different ball game because United didn't take all of their chances. Yes, we scored 2, but to be consistent, that forward line needs to be scoring at least 3 goals a game to be competitive and comfortable week in, week out about being competitive. And that's just not going to come with that midfield. We know Casemiro, proof was in that late tackle that he made in the second half where he was 5 seconds behind. That was proof that Casemiro can't play 90 minutes. That's a ridiculous tackle. And people hate to talk about Manchester United in a positive way. We've done that all weekend. We've done that all yesterday, and they deserved the 3 points yesterday, Manchester United. Like we said, it's the most comfortable we've ever been at Old Trafford under Rúben Amorim. It does feel that way. But, again, no one was walking out of Old Trafford yesterday thinking that we'd actually turned the corner. It was a refreshing change to feel that good. And now you got to look ahead. You got to move to the next step. And that is Manchester United making plans for January. And hopefully Rúben can get as much out of this team as he possibly can. And I'm talking about the plans for January because we cannot not think about them plans. You cannot just think if Rúben's gone, it's all right, you've got Kobbie Mainoo there. Kobbie Mainoo hasn't done enough to warrant a place in this Man United side ever while he's been here. He's always been in and amongst the other players. And people have this sort of vision of him and not getting a fair crack at the whip. And that, in a case with Bruno, is true. I get that, I do. But he didn't do anything before when he was playing in a 4-2-3-1 in midfield to warrant playing there. And Rúben's brought his players in. This is Man United. You deal with it. I'm sure Kobbie behind the scenes is still working hard and wants to be part of the team. I do know that the rumours about Kobbie Mainoo coming in to the manager's office and asking for a transfer in January are going to happen. It is inevitable. And so too Joshua Zirkzee, like we said this morning. There's no room for them players in the squad. We are now entering into near enough the quarter of the season mark in these next 4 games. Do I see Kobbie playing in any of them? No, I don't. And so Kobbie Mainoo will be looking for another club in January. unless he wants to be a bit part player ready to come in or when Bruno Fernandes is injured, because that's the only chance that Kobbie is going to have, or only chance he's going to have to play a game, unless Manchester United lose both Ugarte and Casemiro. We will be buying another midfielder as well, which tells you exactly what Rúben thinks of Kobbie Mainoo. I don't see Kobbie surviving at United if Rúben is in charge. He doesn't want to play a three in midfield. Kobbie can only play with three in midfield. Rúben clearly doesn't think that he's good enough to be in a two-man midfield next to Bruno Fernandes. So that's the decision, and that's been made. That's the reality for Kobbie right now at Manchester United. He's got no room in the 10s. He's got no room at 6. He's got no room at 8. Unless United drastically have some real unfortunate luck and we end up losing 2 or 3 players in them key areas, then Kobbie steps in. And then people will argue, well, if he does step in and do well, he's only going to get subbed back out again when other players come in. Well, that's down to Kobbie, innit? That's down to him. But look, we did the show last week. Kobbie is working his arse off. He's not kicking up any problems behind the scenes. Of course, he's going to be disappointed on the day. I mean, if he's laughing and joking coming on the pitch with a few minutes left after not featuring, then I'd be worried about him. I'm actually happy that Kobbie's looking miserable right now because he wants to play. Anybody who's happy to be a bit part player, I'd question them as a professional footballer. Right, more comments coming in. Let's get into these. Bruno Fernandes has had more stinkers than good performances, and yet he gets to play with getting benched. So he gets to play with getting benched. Xerxes and Kobbie deserve game time. Well, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, do we? Bruno Fernandes, he was better yesterday. Still not the best. And definitely not our best player on the park by a country mile. But did he do more for Rúben than what Kobbie or Xerxes would have done yesterday? For the starting lineup and what he's done in training, probably, yeah, that's why he's in the team and Kobbie's not. But I get what you're saying, Mary, and I do think that in this scenario, it's hard to defend Rúben on Kobbie if he wants out. If Kobbie wants out, no one can stand in his way because he isn't going to play for Rúben Amorim. It's that simple. Rúben can lie to us all and say that there's a big plan for Kobbie Mainoo. I don't see it. I don't see how he fits in this Man United side. And there is going to be more midfielders come in. And we know Rúben, when he buys a player, he'll usually play that player above anyone else that's been there for any amount of time. And that is there to see with his number 10s now. Xerxes missing out. Mount has to come on off the bench or featured in the odd game. Credit to Mason Mount, by the way, yesterday for putting in that performance that he did. He has been excellent this season, and I've said it for weeks, and you've all heard it on the shows. Mason Mount has been Man United's most consistent player throughout this season. When he's got game time, he's been our best player. So Mason Mount deserves his place in Man United's side. It's as simple as that. Kobbie is done. Been saying it for weeks. Even if Bruno leaves in the summer, we will be buying central midfielders, so he won't play. So sell him is the only option. If Rúben stays, I think Kobbie comes in if another manager comes in, and that's what that's what he's waiting for. I'm not going to say he's hoping for because I don't think anybody wants anyone to lose their job, but at the end of the day, the players just want to play football, don't they? And that's where Kobbie's at right now. Missing penalties, waving his hands at referees and laying on the ground crying is not captain material. Rather see Kobbie get some game time, running more kilometres than anyone else on the pitch and being brave enough to keep on playing his game and creating more chances than anyone else in the Premier League is captain material, Šeško. You can talk about all the bad negative points. If you had to give me a player to play in that midfield right now, or anybody right now, I would be playing Bruno Fernandes in there ahead of the other midfielders we've got because he's the only one who's got the engine. Casemiro hasn't, Ugarte hasn't, and neither has Kobbie Mainoo. And right now, no, it's not the best option for us. In fact, if you were going to ask me, if you were going to stick with the 3-4-3 formation for Rúben Amorim, who of these midfielders we've got right now would he play? None. None of them is my honest answer. I think all 4 could go in the summer and United completely overhaul it. He hasn't got the characteristic that he wants in midfield, which is why we're talking about someone coming in January. Bruno Fernandes will be gone in the summer. I think he will go. Casemiro's definitely gone. Agate, the jury's out. And second season syndrome, I think his head is on the chopping block. And we just talked about Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think any of the 4 midfielders we've got right now are good enough for Rúben's system to play this system in the Premier League. If he's going to insist with it, there just isn't enough there in them players for what he wants. There isn't enough quality on the ball. There isn't enough energy. There isn't enough tenacity. There isn't enough strength, speed in any of the players. None of them are quick. You need absolute ballers, fast and experienced players in that team. And they are gold dust. Why do you think we're looking and why do you think we're recruiting the players like a Sekou Kone or a Christian Orozco from Colombia? Players with bundles of energy, power, speed and dynamism. That's what Man United are missing in that midfield. We need Caicedo in that midfield. That's the type of player we need. We need a Caicedo and an Elliot Anderson. That's the ideal midfield for Manchester United right there. Them two in midfield. That's who would absolutely dominate it. Give me a Bruno Guimaraes as well in there. He's probably good enough to play this system. But you know how difficult them players are to get hold of. I would not be surprised if Sekou Kone came in before Kobbie Mainoo this season. That's how I feel about Mainoo and Rúben Amorim in this system right now. I think Kone's got a better chance than Mainoo. And that's saying something. That really is. Because he is hell-bent on his ways and his system and what he wants. He continuously talks about the characteristics in players. That's all he drums on about. And he did it again in his press conference, calling out the players wanting more. More than what they're giving. They are not giving enough in battling and in transition when we lose the ball, when we get the ball to get into the right areas that he wants. He keeps on talking about it. And while Rúben survives, Kobbie dies. That's the line, really, in this system. And I don't mean literally either, by the way, so don't take that out of context. But that's, with him in charge, is how Man United are going to move forward. And there will be casualties. There will be several casualties with Rúben Amorim because he is that ruthless with what he wants. We've seen it. Whether or not the team can perform for him in these next few games, like I just said, this is it. Let this calmness take over for a week or two and enjoy it. Because after that, when we come back, this is it. This is crunch time. This is when most managers get sacked. This is when Man United sacked Ten Hag. And if the results go wrong in these difficult games, I'm actually looking into the detail that I'm looking into these games is you're not expected to beat Liverpool at Anfield. Okay, fair enough. Move on. Brighton are off it. There's a half a chance because Brighton are nowhere near as good as they were last season at the moment. Maybe. There's half a chance there that you might get something from that game. And then you go into Nottingham Forest. I expect that to be a new manager bounce because Ange Postecoglou has been sacked as well. So I'm already thinking about that. And then you've got Spurs, who Thomas Frank, let's be honest, Thomas Frank had our number when he was at Brentford. Spurs had our number with Ange Postecoglou. It's just not a happy hunting ground for Manchester United. I need to be absolutely blown away by Manchester United, I feel, in that game because I just not got my hopes up for it at all. Graham with another super chat. Thank you very much, mate. The pre-season game versus Everton was a defining point for Kobbie Mainoo and Manuel Ugarte. A goal, Gerard Bowen scored 2. Both are on borrowed time. Yeah, the one ball dissected the whole Manchester United midfield in that game. I remember it well, actually. Anthony says, I think Anderson is more likely than Baleba at the moment. Adam, his lack of form makes me question his mentality. We don't need anyone like that. Jody says, United well and truly got to him and that makes me think about the mentality. Again, people calling out Carlos Baleba. United Focus says, with the exception of Forest away, our next 6 games are where we will see how far we have come. The storm is coming. Can we survive from now until January window? I'm not convinced right now. Nobody's convinced right now. One game is not going to convince anybody that Manchester United are ready. One win is not going to convince anybody. All it gives you is a tiny little bit of hope that there's something to hold on to, that things might be clicking. I said it before, a goalkeeper and a number 9 is massive for Manchester United right now. The two ends of the pitch, two of the most important parts of the pitch, are now covered, I feel. And we've got guaranteed starters in both of them areas. We've got guaranteed 10s near enough. The defence eventually will have its guarantees. It's the midfield. Have we got enough in there to see this through? Who is the best centre-back to play in that back three who's going to step forward into that midfield and help that midfield out because it's being overrun? These are the things that we're looking at right now and waiting for. For those calling for consistency, keep in mind that this is one of the hardest achievements for a team, and those that hit that mark are title contenders. Consistency is winning a few games, you maybe lose a game, and you stay consistently up there in the top half of the table. Manchester United's consistency is not winning 2 games in a row. That's what we're talking about there, I think, on that one. CC, thank you for the comments. Fornster with a super chat says, Dalot versus Salah, both poor form, put Šeško on Konate. I think he will maul Konate. I think that is the smart move on that one as well. Mount does the basics extremely well, which none of the other players that can possibly pressing and basic passing. He's a very clever player. Just because he's not fancied, people don't like him. He isn't that fancy type of player that people look at, he stands out in any way, shape or form, does he, Mason Mount? He doesn't. He just does the basic stuff, but he works hard and he can finish. And since he's been back, since he's got back in the side, I think Rúben Amorim has got the most out of Mason Mount since he's been in the Man United shirt. It really is. What is Gary Neville being absolutely slaughtered for? I'm just trying to find out what he's actually said. I don't know, but it's funny. I just had a message on that one. Look, in terms of all of the pundits, it'd be interesting to see what Wayne Rooney says tomorrow. Be interesting to see what everybody says tomorrow. You've got to sit on a good result for 2 weeks right now, so automatically you're feeling a little bit more upbeat, and the talk will genuinely be a lot more positive. But again, we all know it's like what everybody's saying in the chat there and the previous message. The storm is coming. Them games that are coming are very, very difficult and very, very intense in terms of what is in front of us. Every single one of them teams brings a problem for Manchester United and this formation coming up. And again, Rúben calling out his players, they are going to have to be on it and some. They really are. Let's get a few more comments in. Your chance to have your say, everybody. Get in there into the chat, please. Give me your thoughts. Don't forget, heading into the internationals, everybody, that we have still got our match bingo. Loads of people have got wins this weekend. We are still running our 200% boost at deposit amount. So if you scan the QR code when it pops up on the screen, or hit that link in the live chat right now and download the app. If you have downloaded it already, hit the QR code. Hit the promo code and put in FUTV, all capitals. Boost your deposit amount on Match Bingo by 200%. It's only £2 a card. All the internationals are in play this week, everybody, as well. Get on top of that and give yourself a chance of winning big like many others have on Match Bingo. Again, thank you to them this weekend for all the coverage as well. Lawman says, Rúben Amorim, as in somewhat like Ranić said, the club needs open heart surgery. Well rid of players that he thinks are not good enough for the club or the way he wants to play. More like a mixture of both, actually. It's a good point, that Lawman there, because there is players that are doing well elsewhere, but they're not right for what he wants. Would I take Rasmus Højlund over Benjamin Šeško right now? God, no. But Rasmus is doing all right. I really don't care about Andre Onana over at Trabzonspor. I've seen highlights of him being all right. I've seen highlights of him being bad. Would I swap him for Senne Lammens right now? God, no. Do I want Marcus Rashford back, even though he's got 8 goal involvements in 7 games for Barcelona? Hell no. Give me that 26 million right now, because we know what this guy is. and let Rúben create something here and a standard here. If he cannot do it, then he has paved the way at least for somebody else to come in and do it as well. But I see what Ineos are doing and backing their man. It's all on the results for Manchester United, which is why we're all scared and we're all talking about these games coming up right now. We would all, hand on heart, want Rúben to smash this and get the results that we need in these next 4 games. But everybody, hand on heart, has got zero confidence in us doing it. There's just that tiny little bit of hope. That's it. Shane says, Rasmus Højlund scored again for Napoli. How it's looking, we should be getting a nice bit of cash in the summer. Yes, we should. We should be getting 60 million plus for Rasmus and Marcus Rashford and 25 million a year off the bleeding wage bill. So, yeah, give me Benjamin Šeško right now and give me that 60 plus million for them two all day long. Defo. So we got another wasted talent here. Is that on Kobbie Mainoo? Forest will have a new manager by the time we get there. That's why I said it, Tim. New manager bounce. Rasmus is scoring goals for 2 reasons. He's getting better service and he's playing in Italy. Kevin De Bruyne and Italy equals plenty of goals. I get it. I think there's a lot of people that have been talking about that level. Like, I'm happy for Rasmus. I'm really happy for Rasmus Højlund, honestly. For one reason only. He conducted himself perfectly as a professional footballer compared to the absolute numpties that we had in that bomb squad. Well done, Rasmus Højlund. I'm absolutely made up that he's doing well in Europe and domestically in Italy. And long may it continue. I'd take that money all day long. Manchester United just wasn't the right club for him. But if we get a good fee, good on it. Forest will have Robin Hood, the next manager. Okay, Gary, that bad one. I know you mentioned that you was at work. Bless you. Glad you watched it back. Oh, sorry. Someone else actually talking about something else there as well. I'm butting into conversations again. Sorry, everybody. Some other news coming up. Oh, God, yeah. Apparently, Gary Neville has embarrassed himself. Oh, man. I'll have to look at that later on. Deary me. That confidence stands out a mile with Lammens, Jody. 100% it does. It really does. I feel like with him, he just changed the way that his backline played football. And I said that this morning. He just, as a goalkeeper, you need that presence. That's why I did the separate video on him today. You need to have that presence about you in net. And he has got it in abundance. He really does. Commanding his goal, claiming balls. It may seem laughable from opposition fans that United are celebrating a goalkeeper that can catch a ball. But the other two couldn't. And these are the basic, tiny little things that we're going to celebrate. We're all going to celebrate the little wins. We're all going to celebrate the what's needed at this football club, as well as what is to come. And Manchester United right now are fully, I feel, on the right road compared to where we was. It's just a very bumpy road with this driver. And I don't know which way it's going to go. And by that, I mean Amorim, obviously. I hope he finds that smooth patch and goes around the outside and navigates his way onto that glory train there. But it's not a guarantee. And nobody is convinced yet. And that is for definite. But we will take the win and we will confidently go into international break in the top half of the table, thankfully, with a little bit of respite. Because that's what it is. Don't forget that storm that is coming, everybody. It's a big one, and it's going to be hard work. Adam, I know this is an old saying, but games are won and lost in midfield. Oh, no, they are, mate. Which is why United need to, I feel, go out and buy a midfielder, and why I'm saying, can we survive this storm with the midfield we've got? Because if you've got a striker like that and a goalkeeper like that and a defence like that, and then you add that midfield to it, then you go in places. Can we survive without it? That's the question. It's a long time, January. a long time. There's no guarantee we're going to get any players straight away as soon as January hits Evo. It might be at the end of January. So we could be looking at another 3 months before a midfielder comes in. How many games is that? That is going to tell us a lot about where we're at. I think we'll see someone like Kone come through. I think one of the academy players will eventually break into this side at some point in midfield because we are that desperate. But look, for now, we got the game won and we're moving forward. That is it for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much. It's been an absolutely epic weekend. Loved all your contributions throughout the weekend, everyone. It was brilliant. Really appreciate it, as always. Load more subscribers in as well. Brilliant numbers on the watch-along. Let us know what you think of the watch-alongs going forward as well. Really intrigued on that. I really enjoyed it, and it has gone down really well with a lot of the subscribers. So let's do some more. Of course, by the way, everybody, get into the comment section, not the comment section, so get into the description. If you want to join me on a watch-along in the pub, having a few pints, then get your tickets now for the live pub watch-along. That is in the description, everybody. Get to it if you want to come down to Manchester and watch Spurs versus Man United on the 8th of November with me. Loads of tickets have already been sold. Absolutely buzzing with it. So thank you again if you have come in. But if you're not, get your tickets now, everybody, in there in the description. That is it for now. Thank you, everyone. I will see you all 8 o'clock in the morning with all your morning updates. Have a great what's left of your weekend anyway. And I'll see you then. Cheers, everybody.